Steven,
Huh.
what would you say was the most frequent show on TNT that was playing the next morning when you came into work the next day after an NBA playoff game?
Charmed.
I knew you would have an
Charmed.
answer.
Yeah, Charmed. And you could tell which season it was based on the hair. They always had different hairstyles every morning. You could
But
tell whether it was the later seasons or the earlier
okay,
seasons, depending on what Alyssa Milano and Shannon
Alyssa
Doherty's
Milano.
hairstyles were. Yeah, Charmed.
Who were the
Charmed,
three
and then
girls?
I forgot the other one. I don't know
Okay,
their names. I don't know their names. I never
Rose
watched.
McGowan.
Rose McGowan's the other one.
Yes.
And I never watched the show with the sound on, always with the sound off because the TV's never on. But I have seen, I feel like every episode of Charmed 3 times over, and I've never like actually watched a single episode. I've just seen it.
Would you say Supernatural was a close second?
Supernatural was a close second, though. By the time Charmed was over, I stopped paying attention. It's like, all right, let's change this over now. And Charmed is not, it's not too bad on the eyes. Yeah.
No, it's not. Same thing. Not that I was up as early as you going to the studio, but recently, or like going to the gym ever and go in the next morning, go on the treadmill or the elliptical, and you could tell that the gym was having the Warriors
Yep.
playoff game on the night before. And catches your eye. You're like trying to, you got your phone. You're either listening to a podcast or you're watching something on YouTube while you're working out. And a beautiful Alyssa Milano, chest up in bed catches your eyes because Charmed is a
Yeah.
very sexual show.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. And it's
But
from
that,
the 90s, 2000s. It gives that old, it gives you a little nostalgic feel for that time, you know?
no, definitely. And I mean, yeah, anybody that's ever worked in sports radio or sports in general is used to waking up early the next morning, having the TV still being on, and watching the beginning of Charmed or Supernatural or any TNT program the next day because you were obviously watching a Warriors playoff game and Inside the NBA was on the night before.
Yep.
We'll get to all that today. Sorry, go ahead.
I just said no doubt. Like it was every morning. It was actually kind of crazy to look back on. And I remember tweeting about it. I think it was Zach Harper who first had the tweet, but
Yeah.
he just talked about how many people have seen this many episodes of Charmed unprompted just because they left TNT on and possibly, fell asleep with it with the TV on in the next morning. And yeah, I responded with something about radio, and it's something every morning radio producer goes through.
Yep.
Mhm.
No, it's completely accurate. I remember the same deal when I was working at NFL Network and I had early shifts. Go in the next morning, turn the TV on your station, and usually it was TNT because people were watching the NBA on TNT the night before.
Right.
We'll get to it all today. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa coming to you on a Sunday. We're talking about this because last night it was the end of an era. The NBA on TNT came to an end, and we'll discuss it as I think most people would say it's probably the most well liked, most viewed, I would say, in recent years. Pre and post game show in sports. We'll discuss that along with the NBA Finals matchup being set. But Steven, before we get to all that,
What?
here it is. I took it off my wall. This is the thing we're talking about.
Okay, well, it's in the exact same pose. You could see where I was. You could see where I was mistaking that.
Yeah.
Right.
So flashback. Last podcast, Steven. I told Steven I hung something up on my wall, and this is unique because I don't need a nail or a hammer or anything to put this on my wall. It's got it's magnetic back.
Okay.
So no need to spackle.
Nice.
So I just put it on the wall behind me. But yeah, it's fan art of the dude. It is Jeff Bridges, the Big Lebowski, and he's sitting on his toilet, got the bowling ball behind him. And yeah, I got this at KMBR, and we're moving in. We already moved. Went to our new digs in Daly City. Did you see our setup, Steven, at all by chance?
I did not. How'd it go?
Pretty good, actually. I think it's an upgrade as far as the studio and the way it looks, the cameras. Michael Connell, our guy, Mr. KMBR, did a fantastic job. Yeah, I got to see Elena and Fresca and Rudy Ortiz and who were some other people from back in the day we used to work with, Steven. Jay Stein. David, the engineer, remember him?
David Lau?
Yes.
Oh, my man.
He's over there. David Lau was the man.
Can you tell him to say hello, please?
Of course.
Oh, yeah. Please do. I miss David.
But so in preparation of moving over to Daly City, I took all of the things that were at my desk, my cubicle at KMBR, and they gave me this. So this is coming home with me. But Steven,
Excellent.
last podcast thought that this was, for whatever reason, I got a framed photo, if anyone's ever seen it, of the big black guy with his dick hanging out. Steven thought that I was hanging that on my wall for whatever reason.
I don't know. I thought you were doing like a Nathan Fielder type thing. Like, did you ever see that Nathan Fielder appearance on Conan where
No.
they're going through his Instagram photos and he'd take like a selfie and it was a selfie of him wearing sunglasses and in the sunglasses reflection was like naked men. I figured it was like an erotic comedian thing that you were doing. You just had that all the way in the back.
No.
I don't know why.
That would have been hilarious, actually. Now that I think about it, I just happened to like frame that just for the gag of saying like, "Yeah, this is on my wall now. What's the big deal?"
Play darts on it.
Yeah, but no, I'm not doing that. By the way, people keep
Bullseye.
telling, yeah, exactly, just like right there on the head. But as far as Nathan Fielder, people keep telling me I need to watch his shows, whatever they were or whatever they are currently. I guess there's some that are on the air, some that are off the air. Like there's like the rehearsal and
the rehearsal's the new one. The
new
rehearsal,
one. Okay.
The rehearsal's the new one, the one that he just came out with, and I don't know all the details, but he apparently like tricks the pilot industry or the airline industry into letting him pilot a 737, and he like
Jesus
found
Christ.
a loophole. And he went on CNN and did like a 17-minute interview about it and made it extremely awkward and uncomfortable for Wolf Blitzer and company. It's hilarious, but Nathan For You is just. If anyone ever watched it, it was on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
It was on like that. It was on like that block where you had like Key and Peele, Workaholics, Kroll Show, and then there was Nathan For You, which was just totally different. All those other ones were kind of quirky, outlandish, different, but Nathan For You was just this guy who was kind of just trolling everybody. Unreal.
Yeah, I mean that was back in the day when Comedy Central actually had original programming instead of just they still have South Park, but it's just reruns of South Park, Seinfeld, and The Office.
It was the best. It was the best. You sit together and you don't watch it together. You drink a little bit. Oh, so fun.
I know, but my little brother was showing me a clip of I guess the rehearsal where Nathan Fielder's talking to an old man, and I don't know the context of this whatsoever. It has me intrigued in the show. I guess he usually plays along with the people that he's interviewing, but this time he broke character. And I guess he interviewed this guy, and the guy says that he likes to drink his son's urine. And Nathan Fielder's like, wait, hang on. You actually do this? And the guy's like, well, yeah. He's like, you drink your son's urine. He goes, yeah, it's good for nutrients and everything. He's like, are you being serious right now? Like, this isn't even a joke. I'm asking you this question. He goes, well, not my son, just any little boy's urine. He's like, all right, cut. We got to stop. So I saw that clip and I was like, what is this show? And no one can ever tell me what the show is about. I guess it's just him interviewing people, but the concept is Nathan Fielder, he's so interesting to me. It's different than like another guy that was on Comedy Central back in the day, Dimitri Martin. Remember him with the guitar?
Yeah.
His show I couldn't get into because I thought it was just so weird and dry and not as funny as a lot of other things that were happening on Comedy Central at the time. But Nathan Fielder seems to me like it's a mix of dry humor, but to the point where it's so absurd that you can't believe it's actually happening.
Yeah, but a lot of the stuff that he's doing is real.
He's with Wolf Blitzer.
Yeah. Like listen to this.
The issue that we talk about in the show is people not wanting to share their feelings with each other co-pilots because one might be of more experience than the other, so they might know the thing that will save a plane from crashing, but they might not want to communicate it.
Nathan,
so I assume between you two,
we like each other and we talk to each other.
But there's things you probably don't share too. So that's a good way of the audience understanding the dynamic, probably, right?
Really, he should be the captain, is what you're saying. That's really what you're saying.
Did you watch the show? But I mean, it's like a human thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely stuff, I'm sure you guys, like you brought up the analogy, but like, I'm sure Pamela, you don't say some things to Wolf because you're between you two, who would be like the boss or the more, like you're Wolf Blitzer, right? So you're like, your name is first on the thing. So I'm sure Pamela, at times you might not want to say, Wolf wants to do something, you don't think it's a good idea, you might not want to express that always.
She's very
We
blunt.
actually have a pretty. I understand your
But
point.
you have to say that now.
No.
I know, but you don't want to
I
say to
think
Wolf,
that's
you can't, as a journalist, you don't want to
Because
say,
Wolf
I don't want to.
She says that.
She says it to you.
Yeah.
So maybe you're afraid to say
Here's the
something.
great thing about
Sarah.
Wolf: is
I'm
he
very
doesn't have
blunt
an
with her,
ego.
too.
Okay.
He has no ego. But I take your point that like
I mean, Wolf's in movies and stuff.
he's a big deal.
He's
There
Mission
is
Impossible.
no question.
So that's big.
that can be intimidating.
That's sort of
It's
the
so weird. Like, that's what he does, man. He just makes people uncomfortable and is playing his own game. He's like Andy Kaufman, but
Yeah.
but Andy Kaufman played more of like a disturbed type of role. I don't know, like a disturbed individual where it's like, this guy's messed up, but he's kind of doing it for comedic purposes. Whereas Nathan Fielder's just kind of being like almost just like a jerk. It's just how funny he's being. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Andy Kaufman it sounds like he had a lot of people in on the act, like the guy that he was doing the wrestling with. People knew what he was doing ahead of time.
Yeah.
Nathan Fielder is
Jerry
yeah,
Lawler.
like, it's hilarious to me. Like he brings up Wolf Blitzer and Mission Impossible. I was actually watching that the other night, and I was like, yeah, that has to be the most weird thing that Wolf Blitzer's been a part of probably since Mission Impossible Fallout. But yeah, I need to get in on Nathan Fielder and his comedy. I'm not familiar with a lot of it, but from what I've seen, it's pretty dry and not for everybody. But it probably would be up my alley since I'm a big fan of Tim Robinson and all that style of humor.
Yep.
We got Tacky in the chat. Tacky's been in the chat in quite some time. Missed out on the Tom interview. Tacky, Derek, did you put a water balloon hit out on me on Friday? I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Give me more details, Tacky, and then we can discuss what the hell's going on here. Tacky usually with his usual nonsense.
A water balloon hit?
A water balloon hit. I guess got hit with a water balloon.
Ooh.
And everyone's commenting on your background of how weird and blurry it is. You guys remember the Mike Silver show we did? Steven's at his father-in-law's place, and being a good son-in-law means sometimes you keep things discreet for your family and your father-in-law. And Steven doesn't want to disclose his information, but I guess I just did, but doesn't want to give details of what's going on behind him.
Yeah, quite frankly, there's not really like much to hide. I mean, in the right there, it's just like a regular shelf, and then on the left, you got a box for a TV wall mount. But other than that, there's not really anything secretive. I just don't want to. I just don't want to betray his trust. Keep the main thing the main thing. Don't focus on the background. Who cares what's in the background? Maybe I should put a bunch of books behind me, like Photoshop a bunch of books. Like I'm Jeff Passan.
Yeah, or like Wu-Tang Clan albums or Rage Against the Machine.
Yes, yeah, to make me seem hip and cool.
Yes.
Well, I like Rage Against the Machine. I am one of you.
Yeah, you think Jeff Passan's basically just a baseball robot.
I think so. Yeah, kind of.
I think Dodgers are really good. Giants don't score enough.
He's an amazing writer. Don't get me wrong. He is an amazing baseball writer, but I just think putting up that sort of stuff like Evil Empire by Rage Against the Machine is just kind of pandering a little bit towards the younger audience to make you seem a little way cooler than you are.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I can also see him like he's got to be early 40s. He's a guy of that time. Honestly, like
it's also me being a total hater and judgmental. It's totally on me. It's not a him problem. It's a me problem.
I would say that's 100% on you. Like if he had like new shit in the background, if he had like a Post Malone album, I'd be like, all right, get that down. But Rage Against the Machine and Wu-Tang Clan seem accurate for Jeff Passan.
I guess so. I suppose.
You said box for a TV mount. Are you helping your father-in-law mount his TV?
No, they already did that.
Oh.
No, they already did that. It's just the empty box.
Yeah, I think we're coming up on a year now. I've been on this building for a year now exactly, and I go back to a year ago of just not spackling my old place and hanging up the wall, which was quite the pain in the ass.
Yep, you got spackle everywhere, man. Spackle all over the wall.
Oh yeah, I know. When I eventually leave this place, the mess I'm left behind when it comes to holes, it's going to be a shit ton of spackling, my friend. But you're celebrating this is not your birthday weekend though, but you're doing it a weekend early, correct?
Yeah. Well, the family, I guess you'd call them the family-in-law.
Yeah, why not? Family-in-law.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
We
no, because I mean you would do that for father-in-law, brother-in-law, but Steven, You married into the family. This is your family now.
Family. Yeah, we do birthdays. We celebrate birthdays if they have birthdays on the same month. So like we'll celebrate a March birthdays. We'll pretty much celebrate them all in one day. And this one, my auntie-in-law, her birthday is tomorrow. I think today's the first. Yeah, her birthday's tomorrow. So
Okay.
we're celebrating both my birthday and her birthday today because we're busy for the rest of the month and don't know when we'll be able to meet up again. So we're just kind of celebrating both our birthdays here.
Okay.
Right.
You know what? That's a very efficient way to celebrate birthdays. Just get them all done in the same weekend.
It is. It is. I agree.
So I know I've been your friend for about 10 years now. When is your birthday?
June 23rd.
Okay. Well, geez. Yeah, at the end of the month. Good Lord. It's June 1st.
Yeah. You're no John Curley, my friend.
I know. But you know what? We've had some good hangs for your birthday. Walnut Creek. You in a golf cart? Or no, that was Rado in a shopping cart.
That was Rado in a shopping cart from Target. Yeah. That we
Yes.
found on the street. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And come to think about it, that's pretty much it when it comes to your birthday and you and I hanging out for it.
Yeah. I don't think we've hung out for it at any other time.
Yeah.
Although I'm not like big on like birthday celebrations, you know, like I never, I guess I have been, but lately, like ever since I turned 30, it's just, well, I mean, there's only been one other birthday since I turned 30. It's more since I turned like 21. Really, ever since I turned 21, I'm kind of like, 30th birthday was was an exception. We went to San Diego, enjoyed it, but since then I'm just like, okay, it's just another day. Although I think we're going to see Shane Gillis at some point later this month. So,
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, he'll be in San Jose.
Nice. Actually, just listened to him on Smartless. Weird podcast for Shane Gillis, just because they'll have anybody on, but I don't think his style of humor kind of meshed with Jason Bateman and Sean Hayes. Will Arnett loved him. It was his guest, but I don't. It was kind of a weird vibe between the four guys.
You mean the bro humor? They don't like the bro humor?
Well, I mean, it
is bro humor at the end of the day.
Shane Gillis? Yeah, yes and no. But also, like, it's not so much bro humor where he gets kind of like historical and political and racial.
Yeah. Yeah, where he tries to make people uncomfortable. Yeah, he does a really good job of that.
He does. He's good at it. And like at one point in the podcast, he was like talking about like, I don't really get into politics of having one side or the other, because if you speak for one side, you kind of seem like an asshole. And then Sean Hayes like, well, I guess so.
Yeah.
Like all of them were like, yeah, okay. But I mean, they liked him. It was just Will Arnett was kind of like, I guess Shane Gillis is like a consultant on this new movie that Will Arnett's doing about comedians. Yeah. And he was really into his comedy. And Will Arnett's really more like, he'll love any type of comedian because he follows that stuff. Jason Bateman and Sean Hayes were like familiar with his work on SNL, but they were like, you do anything? Like, are you on shows? And he's like, well, I got a show called Tires. And then Jason Bateman's like, oh, yeah. It's like they have no clue who he was.
That's kind of brutal.
Yeah. But anyway, so, your birthday is at the end of the month.
Yes.
And, okay. Well, birthday celebration at the beginning of the month to knock out all birthdays. It's kind of like it's a better way of doing it. I guess they didn't want to do this in the office. There was the one episode where Jim takes over the one day where Michael's out, and he plans on just celebrating all the birthdays in 1 month, and everybody's very offended by that. Yes.
Terrible idea. Never do that. But as we are, eventually going to celebrate my 32nd and hope for many more years to come. One thing I guess we're not really celebrating is the end of Inside the NBA on TNT.
Oh, good transition.
Yeah, how about that? Huh?
Well, I'm not ready to go there yet, Steven. Let me just talk about more things before we get there. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, cool.
Let's do that. Cool. But real quick, let's do the NBA Finals are set. So it's going to be the Pacers and the Thunder. The Pacers win last night, 125-108. And I think you got some hot sauce to do, my friend.
Yeah, I know. So I brought this cute little bottle. Where is it?
Hey, now.
Look at this little thing. Come on, man. Look at this adorable little bottle. It's the size of my face for scale. It's a little cutesy little bottle. Last tab. Huh?
Okay. All right. Little portable bottle. I guess all bottles will be portable, but that's one a little more effective.
Yeah. I could take this on like a flight. and because it's less than 4 ounces, just take it on a flight and then just open it up and put it on someone's food when they're sleeping, and then they'll wake up and have the last nap.
That's not bad.
Do I have to have it now? All right, I'll do it now.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
right.
Yeah, because Steven
Bought
picked
this bag
the
of crushed chips because that's the only
there you
vessel
go
I had.
in a baggie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steven picked the Knicks in 5. I picked the Knicks in 7. But I nailed the Thunder. I said Thunder in 5. Steven said Thunder in 6.
Yeah. You guys, you've done a much better job at predicting since really the conference semifinals. I've had a rough go of it. It's been real bad, but you know what? I'll go after them a little bit. I'm tired of Knicks fans. All right, here we go.
Ooh.
There's unfortunately like a couple of things to get to, like besides the game, because last night wasn't really much of a contest. It was more just a blow, where it was more of just a blowout. Really, the last 2 games. Got enough on here. Can't really see it, but cheers.
So, Steven, why are you I can't even talk. Why are you annoyed with Knicks fans?
Well, it's been 3 years now, Derek. 3 years where we get these videos. Oh.
Yeah. Get these videos.
This isn't good. I actually drank a little bit last night.
It's a good mix. Heartburn.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Is it hotter with that little bottle?
No.
Just the mix of alcohol and hot sauce.
Oh, no. I'm just trying not to barf.
All right. Well, Steven's trying to.
I don't want to barf on camera.
I never wanted to barf from hot sauce.
Not barf, but just spit it up.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Trying to put it down.
By the way, Tega gives the details of what he's talking about with the water balloon. He was waiting for an Uber in downtown Livermore, and someone threw a water balloon driving by. Landed at my feet, though.
Oh.
Well, looks like you're fine, Tacky. I don't know why you're bitching.
It's a drive-by ballooning.
Yeah.
We'll try this thing where we show the comments like in real time as well.
We got new technology on this this fancy StreamYard.
Yeah, someone try it out. Like someone send in a message. Okay, I'm good. Still burning. Oh, there we go. Cool.
Hey, see, look, your comments are theirs, guys. See, you're part of the chat. See, AJ Cruz, you don't need Walter.
Oh man, still burning.
Look, there's Tacky with penis.
Wow, cool. So 3 straight years now, where we get all these videos where Knicks fans are going insane. Fuck Trae Young, fuck Tyrese Halliburton,
yeah.
Knicks are sick, and all this sort of
Trae
stuff.
Young's balding, yeah.
3 straight years now where they just get knocked out and they get embarrassed. And then you get another video where they basically tell you to turn over the whole team. Get rid of the front office. Get rid of Karl Anthony Towns. Get rid of Jalen Brunson. Start over. It's so annoying. And at first it's funny because like, oh my God, these guys are crazy. But after every win, you see them going insane. And then they clearly lost this series and all they're doing is yelling. It is so old to me now. Like it was fun at first, at the fat guy with the beard doing the little Fortnite dance. It's funny, but now it's not because they lost and they stink and the Knicks still stink and they're going to stink for the rest of time.
Jesus. I don't know about that, man.
Yeah. Since 73, Derek, 73 was the last time they won a championship. It is annoying.
Okay.
They're a social media team.
Okay, yeah, but you go down this road of like Chris Mad Dog Russo, where just because they don't win a championship means they stink. They've gone to the Eastern Conference Finals this year. They were on the doorstep a year ago. I don't think they stink. They made a lot of moves, and it sucks it didn't pan out in the end. And the Pacers, who are a good team but didn't make the huge upgrades or trades like the Knicks did a year ago with Mikal Bridges or Karl Anthony Towns, they went all in this year, and now they come up empty. And you got to think, how many more years are going to be able to do this? And next year, it could be wide open with the Celtics having their problems with Jason Tatum out for the year, and we'll see what happens with Giannis. But I can't say the Knicks stink. I just think it's it's funny. We all shit on the Knicks because of their owner and just how annoying their fan base could be. But I can't say the Knicks stink.
Okay, fine, but that's not the point. Like, it's just we get this video. It's the videos that bother me, and then it's just like you say, "Oh God, he's still getting me." You talk all this shit, and then you end up losing. It's annoying. Like, save it until you get to the finals. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but fans aren't going to be like that, and they haven't seen anything like this since 2000. They haven't been to the Eastern Conference Finals since 2000, and funny enough, they lost to the Pacers back then too. They've lost to the Pacers for about 30 years now. So that's why I picked the Knicks, because I thought things were going to change, and they benefited from Jason Tatum getting hurt in that series, but also they stole 2 games in Boston. So I thought maybe this time things would be different, but not the case. Regardless, fuck the Knicks. They're done. We're talking about the Pacers and Thunder, baby.
I'm also a little salty because I've just had to have hot sauce because of them. So, if you'll excuse me. Personal,
Yeah, it's all good. But Tyrese Halliburton,
what about?
He's changed the Pacers. Miles Turner's been there. God, how long has he been there? Like over 10 years now? Longest tenured Pacer. Rick Carlisle, who used to be their head coach back in the day, went to Dallas, won a championship, got fired because they didn't like the way he was coaching Luka. Comes to Indiana again and gets them to the NBA Finals. Gets them to the Eastern Conference Finals the last 2 years. They make the trade for Pascal Siakam a couple years ago. The Pacers, they've been that team on the rise, and not to mention they traded for Tyrese Halliburton because the Kings traded him away. This is how many times now the Kings found a potential superstar only to trade him away. Yep. So give credit to the Pacers and give credit to the Thunder for the moves they made this offseason, getting Caruso and Hartenstein. We going into the season, we thought the Thunder were going to be a really good team. I mean, they were a year ago the number 1 seed. They lost in the second round to the Mavericks. But yeah, this is going to be a very good series. This is going to be a very good NBA Finals, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a good series. I think you have 2 teams that are scrappy and young, shoot a lot of threes, play good defense, and obviously not big markets, not big superstars, not big names. And that's what I hope isn't brought up a ton. And we're going to do it today because let's just get it out of the way. I don't want to bring it up again, but I feel like ESPN is going to do this every single day until we get up to game 1, maybe even during the finals. But I wonder how many people are actually going to watch this because of the markets. Indiana, I mean, people love basketball in Indiana. People love basketball in Oklahoma City. So I think the environments are going to be electric, but I think you're going to hear one thing I don't like is the NBA media also kind of feeds into this shit. It's not just ESPN bringing it up out of nowhere. The NBA media also, I see it all the time on Twitter where they're like, God, I would love, like, remember when we were in the bubble years ago during 2020 and they were like, of all the years to have the Lakers and Heat be in the NBA Finals and we can't travel with them. The NBA media always complains about travel. And I get it. Like, you're going every other day. The 2-3-2 setup's kind of annoying sometimes. Or, well, not anymore. It used to be 2-3-2 now, and I'm sure that'd be more convenient today. But now it's 2-2-1-1. But you're going to hear people that write and cover the league be like, "Oh, I have to travel to Oklahoma City, Indiana, not a whole lot going on." And I'm like, who cares? If you love ball, you love ball.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if it's going to be a good series though.
Why do you say that?
I just think the Thunder are a much better team. And I think the Western Conference is a much better conference. And I just think the Thunder are way too deep, and I don't think the Pacers are going to be able to handle it. They took on a tired Knicks team that couldn't play defense. You're right. Like, both of these teams are young, athletic, hungry, whatever. But the Thunder are more young. They are younger. They are more athletic. And I think they are hungrier for a championship. And you do give credit for the Pacers and Thunder for the moves they make, but I more give credit to the Thunder for the moves they didn't make, which was they had a chance to trade Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and they didn't. They hung on to him because after all that tanking they did, they managed to stockpile their first-round picks and then create this, I don't want to call them a super team, but a team that is really damn good, and they're a lot of fun to watch. But I just think the Western Conference is so much better than the East, and I think the NBA Finals is going to be a representation of that. Doesn't mean I'm not going to watch it. Doesn't mean I think this is not going to be a good series because it's the Pacers and Thunder. I just think the Thunder totally overmatched them. But that's just me. Like, I just think their defense is going to be way too suffocating for the Pacers. That's what I personally think.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think that the Thunder are a much better team, and they've been the best team in basketball for the majority of the season. If it's not them, it's the Cavaliers. But you saw what the Pacers did to the Cavs as well.
Sure.
I think that the Pacers are more of a team of destiny as opposed to the Thunder, just based on talent and being probably the better team and being the best team in basketball for the majority of the season. The Pacers have just gotten hot, and yeah, like I picked the Knicks to win that last series, but after watching game one, we were watching it in real time when I think the Knicks blew a 17-point lead or a 10-point lead in the last minute. And when they lost that game in overtime, and it went to overtime because Tyrese Halliburton had that 2-pointer that clanked in, I wasn't going to change my pick, even though I wanted to. But having you given me the option right then and there, I would have been like, after that, I can't take the Knicks to win the series now. For them to blow that, usually when the series is set sometimes in game one, and if you blow a lead like that, then I don't know how you're coming back after that. It's just hard mentally sometimes. Even though it's just game one, sometimes it affects a team like that. So,
well, blown lead of epic proportions to where, what was it? 970 teams have been in that scenario in the last 25 postseasons or whatever it was, where they're like up by 15 with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left. And the Knicks were the only team to lose in that scenario.
Well, not only that,
crazy.
Well, not only that, but what I'm saying, like the Pacers have been a team of destiny. How about the way they clinched the series against the Bucks?
Yeah.
Well, they were down by 8 with like 30 seconds left, and they found a way to close that one out. That's what led to Halliburton's dad getting into Giannis's face and whatnot. And then game 2 against the Cavaliers, where Halliburton's able to kind of drive, then go backwards, hit the 3, they win the game. Like they just have crazy finishes. So are they the better team? No, I think hands down that's the Thunder. But I do think it's going to be interesting that as far as the environments, I do think that OKC, they'll have the advantage, obviously having home court. But once it flips to Indiana, it's very similar fan bases. It's kind of I guess the southern regions and teams that are not really get a high profile that often, not nationally televised games, but those fans show up. I mean, you saw Pat McAfee and the environment. It was like that, like in whatever it was game 5 and him, calling out everybody in New York. It's just different. I think it's going to be a very lively series, but as far as national attention, probably not a ton. I think that's what Stephen A. and a lot of people will complain about, but who cares? If you love basketball, just enjoy the series. I think it's going to be fun. I don't know how long it's going to go, but I never anticipated it would be these two teams. It does feel like the Thunder makes sense, but with the Pacers, I would have always anticipated it was going to be the Celtics or the Cavaliers this season.
Yeah, I mean, they could prove me wrong. I mean, AJ saying it right here. Halliburton sending the big fuck you to everyone who voted him most overrated is too tantalizing to ignore, and I can agree with that because he's kind of proven me wrong with each and every series. Though the Cavaliers, they did have an injury. The Knicks, there was no injury really with the Knicks, not a significant one like Darius Garland, for example. But this is one where I just think the Thunder are the healthiest team they've played. And when you hear when you hear like Steve Kerr, for example, speaking on the playoffs, and he said you need everyone to be healthy and you need to be the better 3-point shooting team. Those are two key attributes there. And the Thunder have been one of the more healthy teams. However, the Pacers have been the best 3-point shooting team in this postseason. So it's like a interesting mix there, but I don't know. It's so hard for me I'm kind of giving away my pick already, but it's so hard for me to pick the Pacers to even win this series or extend it just based on how well the Thunder are playing with how much confidence they're having. But I could be dead wrong. There's a lot of back and forth. Like if you put this on like a triple weight scale, there's a lot that goes on to the Thunder side. There's a lot, or triple beam scale, excuse me, a lot that goes on to the Thunder side, a lot that goes on to the Pacers side. Like which one is going to weigh more than the other? I really can't give you a full on answer. I know we'll have one more podcast, I think, before game one, which is on Thursday.
Yep.
So maybe we'll do like a deeper dive and, maybe find some numbers. I don't know, like back up my result. Do you agree with Ernie too, though? Do you kind of want Kings fans to feel some remorse about trading Halliburton away? And is that a kind of a reason why you'd want to see the Pacers win?
No, I mean, I could care less about that. Like, that's the thing about my thought process with the Kings. I don't really think about them as a Warriors fan. Like, no disrespect or anything. Like, I enjoyed playing them in the rivalry a couple years ago and the playing game the year after. But like, no, I feel for that team, honestly, with just how that organization's run. They make such stupid moves. They just traded away De'Aaron Fox, which I still don't understand. And I think the NBA is just a product of the players having too much power and them demanding trades. And in the end, teams' front offices succumb too early. But yeah, you could have had Halliburton on this team. You could have had De'Aaron Fox on this team, and you just trade him away. Like, I don't understand this. So, no, I don't want like, fuck you, Kings. Like, I don't feel that way at all.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way too.
Yeah. But yeah, this series doesn't start until Thursday. So we got plenty of time. We're both kind of leaning in the Thunder's direction, but we'll pick a winner and how long the series will last and everything with that. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this. And I was just texting with my friend Grayson, who I live with in LA. He's No, not at all. Would never live with that guy. Even though, like, I don't know, he just annoys me, and maybe that's just my my bias. I guess I don't really have a bias. I don't really hate Duke that much, but I always remember him just pushing kids and just kind of being a little bitch, to be completely honest. But no, my buddy Grayson, he's from Canada. He's a big hockey fan, and the NHL Stanley Cup final is Edmonton and who was the other team? Actually, I can't think of
Florida. Florida. It's a rematch. I'm sorry, but the Stanley Cup final is way more enticing than the NBA final to me.
That's what I was going to ask you. So between the four teams that are in the NBA finals and the Stanley Cup final, would you say Edmonton's probably the biggest market as far as Connor McDavid and being the face of the NHL right now?
Probably. Because they got all of Canada behind them. You know how long it's been since Canada took home the Stanley Cup, Derek?
It's been quite some time. I knew this a couple of years ago because I was watching so much hockey with my roommate Grayson.
It's been 2 weeks since before my birthday. So it's been 32 years, man. Going on 32 years, and it might pass that mark depending on how long this series lasts. So I'd say Edmonton probably does, just because it's in Canada, in Alberta, Canada. And right. Edmonton is like the capital of the province, Alberta, which is just a very confusing city system. Like, just have a city and that's it. Have a city and have Canada. Although I guess we have states. They just call them provinces. But yeah. Edmonton's in a certain part. Although, like, you probably think, I don't know. I mean, I guess like Toronto or Montreal, just because they're bigger. But the Oilers with Connor McDavid are going to be the one to keep an eye on. And that's like the one team where it's like, if they don't win, then what's going to happen? Like, the Panthers are almost playing with house money at this point because they won it last year and obviously want to defend their title. But the Oilers, it's like you have a chance to bring the Stanley Cup back to Canada for the first time in 32 years, and you get to do it with a superstar. Like, I don't think there's going to be a team with more of a spotlight on them than the Oilers. But the Panthers are a damn good team too. Like, that series I think is going to be really good. I mean, we went 7 games last year. I don't know if it's going to do the same, but that'd be crazy if it does.
And correct me if I'm wrong, weren't the Panthers up by, were they up 3-0 in that series?
I think they were up 3-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in the end they get that final game. Who's their head coach again? The guy that we love, all the sound bites?
Paul Maurice.
Yeah. Well, we need to pay attention to what he says during the final. And Connor McDavid.
He had a hilarious comment after. Well, not hilarious, but it's just these guys are like effortlessly funny.
Yeah.
Because one guy asked like if he's going to like, are you going to celebrate this? Because everyone looked really stoic. Like when they were going up to the Eastern Conference Final, like take the Pacers and take the Panthers. Just two very different reactions to celebrating with the trophy. Pacers, obviously, first time they've been there since what, 2000. Whereas Panthers, they've been there 3 straight years. So there's not a lot of celebrating, a couple of smiles here and there, maybe a little bit of hugs, but nothing crazy.
Right.
And afterwards, the reporter asked him about it. And then he's like, are you going to give yourself a chance? Are you going to give yourself a chance to celebrate this series, or what are you going to do? And he's like, and he like, look, not the series, but I think I'll celebrate this game 5 because it had a little bit of everything. And then because they were down 2-0 early,
Right.
he's like, we got down early. We were serving up pizzas. We didn't even look like we belong in the playoffs. I'm like, serving up pizzas? Is that like a hockey term for the puck? You know? They're so good. And there's
Serving
like
up pizzas. I like that.
we're serving up pizzas. And then second and third period, we came out pretty good. So I'll celebrate this one tonight. But he's just he's a character, man. He is a character. And I think unfortunately, you're kind of missing that in the NBA finals. You want a crazy coach. I like watching a Joe Mazzulla just go crazy on the sideline every now and then and, have wild post-game press conferences.
Yeah, but he's not that crazy, though.
He is. He's insane. He's nuts.
Yeah, but not in like the traditional coach terms. Like Paul Maurice, we like him because he just shoots from the hip.
Yeah.
Joe Mazzulla will say weird things like, so was it weird having the king and queen in attendance for today's game? The only king and queen for me is the Holy Trinity when it comes to Christianity. And I'm like, all right, Joe, you're insane. Or like my favorite thing ever is like, oh, so how are you getting accustomed to living in Boston? Oh, I watch the town every day. You watch the town every day.
Every day.
Watch the town every day. And it would have been funny if it was like a joke. He's dead ass serious. I'm like, I can't take you seriously. I think he's more of just a weirdo. I prefer coaches that are like who's a basketball coach that could be like that back in the day? Popovich, I guess. Popovich just like, making fun of the reporters and just, using colorful language. I prefer that than Joe Mazzulla's weird ass.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of hockey, we didn't really play this because we haven't been on since. But did you see Xavier Legette? Legette, or is it Legette?
Legette.
For the Panthers. Yeah. You see Xavier Legette
he went to a hockey game?
I went to the Hurricanes game.
I didn't see it, but I saw it was posted. All right. Go ahead.
This guy's the best. Like this, again, like we mentioned this last year, but like watching NFL guys go to hockey games because they have like a relation to violence where they're kind of intertwined. They love it. And Xavier Legette at a hockey game, it's just all time.
Hey, you ain't tell me the hockey puck come flying over here, man. Oh, oh, boy, these folks going crazy, boy. Hey, yeah, they doing that thing. Boy, he got down there clothesline, boy, right in front of me, boy. What's my boy name from OKC with the Braves? Shea Alexander. He right. He tough. He's right. Hell no. This my first time seeing this, boy. Oh, boy. Oh. God, I got scared of hell, boy. But I became hell, boy.
He's all time, man.
Dude,
Best.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten a Keon Coleman Xavier Legette podcast. That would be they were the sound bites that came out of the draft a year ago, and just their reactions to anything makes me laugh, makes most people laugh. So yeah, those guys need to be a duo on some type of podcast.
1,000%. Yeah. But I love that. Just other athletes going to hockey games or other athletes going to any sporting event, really, that's just not their own because they have this like respect for it. It's great.
No, it would be hilarious. So is Edmonton? Are they the favorites, even though the Panthers were the defending champs or are defending champs?
I think the Panthers are the favorites, but I have to
Yeah.
take a look.
We'll see, man. I mean, how old's Connor McDavid now? It's got to be late
He's
20s.
27.
He's
Yeah,
still got
27.
time. Still got time. But yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
want him to be the next Gretzky. So now would be the time to capitalize and win that championship. By the way, last night,
according to FanDuel, Oilers
Edmonton?
are favored. Yeah, it looks like the Oilers are favored here,
all right.
according to FanDuel and ESPN. So how about that?
I kind of want to see that happen because I want to see Connor McDavid finally get his. And I think you always, if you have no horse in the race, I think you always want to root for the team. If it's a rematch, you kind of want that team that lost to get redemption, kind of like the Eagles with the Chiefs this year.
Yeah.
By the way, last night, did you notice? I was thinking the same thing when they were doing the post-game festivities of giving the Pacers the trophy of winning the Eastern Conference. They had Pascal Siakam on the dais, I guess, because he was Finals MVP or Conference Finals MVP. They talked to Miles Turner because he was there for a long time. Did not talk to Tyrese Halliburton. They did that later on with Ernie Johnson and inside the NBA crew, but to not have him be the guy that talks to the fans, I thought that was like, he's the face of the team. What are we doing here?
Yeah, they're treating Halliburton in a weird way. Like I don't know what it is. Like, I'm not going to say it's the NBA's out to get him, but the fact that the Athletic posted that player poll where it's not just that they voted him most overrated. 40% voted him most overrated. This wasn't like a slim margin. This was 40%, which was a large majority. I don't know what it is about him. Like, I don't know if the NBA is doing something about this. I don't know if the players seem to hate him for whatever reason. Tyrese Halliburton seems like a good dude. He seems like a kind of a role model-ish type. His story's awesome. He was the 12th overall pick in the draft when no one really took him in the top 5, although he's had that video or whatever it was. But, like, I don't know. He seems like a pretty stand-up individual. I don't really get what the problem with him is.
Well, I role model whatever, like, as Charles Barkley said famously years ago, I'm not a role model. But, like, the video, I find it funny. It doesn't really, stop him from being a role model or being the faces of the NBA. But those videos of him hanging out with, the snow bunnies late at night is hilarious to me.
With his shirt off. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, what's up, 50 Cent? I hear you got a residency in Las Vegas, man. Congrats. And then just like 3, looks like college girls in the background. Congrats.
Yeah, I wonder what is it about him? Like, there's got to be something. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I'm not.
I like him. Maybe they just don't like the fact that his voice changes mid interview,
mid sentence. Yeah. No. I don't know if anyone randomly heard. So I was trying to be different on the air when I was doing 5 a.m. when I was doing the pregame show, and I watched like one Iowa State game because I saw Halliburton was going to be like a top 10 pick.
Okay.
I was trying to do my research, and I was like, should the Warriors trade back and take a swing on this guy? Like, is Wiseman the guy you want when you haven't had any experience? And I kind of called it, but also it's just after watching one game, I didn't really have like any expertise on it. But if anyone remembers, there was one 5 a.m. show where I brought up Tyrese Halliburton and said, might not be a bad player.
You and Steve Kerr, sir, because I think he's on record saying, I kind of talked to Bob and was like, I kind of want us to look at this kid.
Yeah, he also has it. He at the time though, he had like a really weird looking 3-point shot. Like his shooting form was bizarre out of Iowa State. If anyone,
but you can always change that shit. You can always change that.
And he did, but no one thinks you can when you're getting drafted. Everyone just thinks that, oh, that's your shooting form. Okay, that's your shooting form. I don't know if we can work with that. Is that going to translate to the NBA? Blah blah blah.
Well, that's what happened to Markelle Fultz, who went first overall. And he could never gain it back. They changed his shooting motion, and he couldn't shoot. He lost all confidence in himself.
Crazy.
Yeah. So speaking of the post-game show on TNT, last night was the final broadcast for the NBA on TNT. I thought Reggie Miller did a fantastic job. I thought Kevin Harlan, trying to fight back tears, did an amazing job. It's been reported by Andrew Merced that he's going to go to NBC to be the lead analyst for the NBA on NBC. I guess along with Mike Tirico. I don't know if Tirico's doing. He actually might be doing the studio stuff, but and then it got to the 4 main guys on Inside the NBA: Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny the Jet Smith, Charles Barkley, and Ernie Johnson. And I thought they did a fantastic job. Shaquille O'Neal basically telling ESPN, we're not coming here to fuck around. I love that they dropped F-bombs, and they'll get fined for that, but whatever. It's the last broadcast. Kenny the Jet Smith doing the same thing.
Kenny the Smith Jet?
Yep, Kenny the Smith Jet doing the same thing, saying we're not going to ESPN to fuck around. And Charles Barkley saying, this is the longest team I've ever been a part of. Ernie Johnson being the consummate pro, as he always is, just, saying this is the business, things change. I never wanted to leave Turner, would always be Turner to me. And yeah, it was weird watching that because I'll admit, I haven't been the biggest fan of that show forever. I think that it's gotten more popular in recent years because the clips can be put on social media, but they're always funny. Like, I learned a long time ago that show is not sports informational. And I think that's what kind of annoyed me about it initially. I will admit, learning about television and sports media, a lot of my opinions were based off of what my dad thought. And my dad was never a fan of that show. He just thought it was nonsense. So I kind of felt the same way. But I learned to appreciate it for different reasons. It's just Charles Barkley and Kenny the Jet Smith and Shaq just basically fucking around. It almost is kind of like a sports talk radio show where they would go off on tangents and talk about the price of gas or, the big old women eating churros or whatever the hell. They had comical moments. Yeah. And if you're looking for them to praise the next superstar of the league, they weren't going to do that. Honestly, a lot of current players don't like that show because they felt like they were shitting on the new generation. And I hated when they did post-game interviews and Shaquille O'Neal had to tell Donovan Mitchell that he doesn't like his game. I thought that stuff was rude. But regardless of all that, if you took the show for what it was them just being crazy and Ernie Johnson trying to, reel him in all the time. I thought it was great, and I hope it doesn't change. I finally looked up the actual details of what's going to happen next. I know Charles Barkley signed a 10-year contract with TNT, and he said he was going to retire, but then he had a whole statement, I think a year ago at this time, saying, I'm coming back. That's not happening. I thought that Inside the NBA was going to become like Inside Sports. That went away. Basically, TNT and ESPN/ABC did a deal where that show's going to be on ESPN exclusively. And in the end, TNT gets Big 12 football and college basketball next season. So the show's not going away. It's still going to be shot in Atlanta. They're going to have the same crew. And I think the smartest thing ESPN could do is not touch a goddamn thing about that show and just let it be the same old thing. You don't need to put Stephen A. or Kendrick Perkins or any of these other guys on there. Just let the show be what it is and what it has been for the last 20 years or longer than that, 30 plus years.
I'm going to go Tom Tolbert on this. And I'm just going to say, like, I wish I could give you like an informed opinion, but I can't. Like, I haven't really watched it into the like later hours of the evening when that show kind of gets funny.
Right.
I'll see clips posted every now and then, but having worked mornings, like as soon as the game's over and I see maybe a couple of post-game interviews, I'm off to bed. Like you know what I mean? Like I can't watch the end of Inside the NBA. So I don't really know. Like I'll watch the pregame show a little bit, but even the pre-show is like, it's more basketball centric and they're just kind of saying all these things and giving their takes. And, Charles Barkley's guaranteeing a victory for anyone that's not named the Warriors. I don't know, but I do wonder because I see a lot of the complaints and the clips are legendary. Like, Jesse asked me earlier this morning, what are you laughing at? What are you giggling at? Cause she was in the bathroom and I'm like, it's supposed to be 1, 2, 3, not 1, 2, back to 1.
Yep.
I was watching that clip and it's hilarious, but this is, I don't know. Again, I don't know. I don't have an informed opinion on it because I'm not watching, but it doesn't feel like it's a show that celebrates the sport anymore. It feels like it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. It feels like they're more popular than the NBA in a weird way. And I don't know if that's right. It's hard not to be the most popular show. Like the other day, NFL Network had the top 100. They were doing like the NFL 100 because NFL
Yeah.
Network doesn't have any programming right now.
No.
And they were doing the top 100 greatest characters in the history of the NFL. And I mean, you got to think that Shaq and Chuck are like two of the top 10, maybe in NBA history, two of the top 10 greatest characters in NBA history. If you had to think of any, like those two guys were just so outlandish, so different. And they're superstars, but it feels like they're almost like bigger than the league itself. And I don't know if that's what a pre and post game show should be. Like, it feels like it should be like an extension of it, not like its own entity. I could be wrong there, but I'm just saying that because I have watched the NHL on TNT, their NHL show, and that show seems to truly celebrate the game instead of just coming through with a bunch of hot takes while making it entertaining. I don't know. I could be wrong. And the thing is, a lot of the clips that are being shared, you haven't seen much of that magic lately. So I don't know if it's as good as it once was. I don't know if it's going to be any different when it goes to NBC or ESPN or whatever it is. But I've just kind of been off of the show. I love all those guys, but like it feels more often than not that the clips that are getting shared are them just hating on the NBA rather than celebrating it and having a good time with each other.
Yeah, I mean, most of the clips are hilarious moments, like them laughing at the Clippers for having to have police presence in the locker room post game with the Rockets and Clippers, and that stuff's funny. But you're 100% correct. It's back to the argument we had last podcast about who's the face of the NBA right now. If you had asked me, take players out of it, who's the face of the NBA? It's Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Ernie, Shaq, Kenny, and Charles. People know them way better than they do current players sometimes. Is that good for the league? Probably not, but it's not their doing. It's they all. Kenny the Jet Smith has become more of a TV personality. People remember Charles Barkley, but more our generation remembers him as a TV analyst. We all remember Shaquille O'Neal, the player, and it's transitioned now into him being the media personality. They're all bigger than I would say the majority of players in the NBA right now, just because of their brands on television talking about a sport, but also, I mean, they do products for a lot of non-sports things. Charles Barkley hosted SNL. Shaq's like the CEO of Papa John's now? It's just bigger than sports at this point. And most of the stuff they talk about is, beyond sports. I hear you. Like the show doesn't celebrate the league, but I only think, I don't know. Like it's hard to say. Like I don't think it's their responsibility, but at the same time,
yeah, there's also that point. Totally.
I would also say that they don't need to be so rude about it, because I feel like they kind of shit on the younger generation to the point where it's like, well, do you guys like basketball anymore?
Yeah.
Do you really like it? Like Charles gets more enthusiastic when they do a promo for TNT's doing a hockey game. And he's like, oh, man, let me tell you about that. Where he's like, man, come on now. I don't watch this game. And I love the fact that they'll shit on other networks. Like, I love that Charles will call out Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith. And I want him to still do that stuff. You don't need to add to it. I think it's fine the way it is. I think that I don't want ESPN to feel obligated to have their personalities on there and do right by the league. I think that they don't need Stephen A. Stephen A. has enough airtime on ESPN.
Yeah. But I say all this to say, this is like the recent iteration of it. Like, I've been a fan, and I think they did something which not a lot of post-game shows do, which is, one, stick together, but two, they didn't try to be traditional TV.
Yeah.
Like, I think when you get on an NBA on NBC, this is just my guess, but it feels like when you have Jamal Crawford and Carmelo Anthony, who I think are the in-studio analysts for NBA on NBC, I think they're going to try to be professional, traditional TV guys, and I don't know if it's going to be all that entertaining. I think that's the problem with the NFL right now, is like there's nothing that's different. It's all just kind of like, hey, let's go to Terry Bradshaw and let's laugh at how he's bald, or I don't know, something like that, where it feels like they're just trying to be a little too structured. Whereas inside the NBA, it was structured, but it was organized chaos. And I respect them for that. And I don't know if any show can replicate what it's going to do, but it feels like that organized chaos has gone just a little too far at this point. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that, but I'll also say with the NFL, I don't think people really care about the pregame shows. I think
Right.
that like I haven't watched. I'll have it on the background, but I don't. Since I was a kid, I watched it a lot, like Sunday, morning countdown or the Monday night countdown or football night in America. I watched all that stuff. Now I don't because I'm also working and I missed the first quarter of game, so I can never watch the pregame shows. As far as but compared to the NFL, I think people just give a shit about the game. I think
Yeah.
honestly, basketball fans would rather watch the pre and post game shows and really just inside the NBA as opposed to the NFL. I think that there's some matchups where I don't really care about the game. The highlight of the night was watching, Chuck, Shaq, and Kenny argue about something as opposed to whatever happened against the Thunder and Pacers regular season game. It's just different. So
Right.
I do think that NBC, they'll probably go the traditional route. I think what NBC really needs to work on is having a really good analyst. I think that having Kevin Harlan will be huge for them. I wouldn't be surprised if Ian Eagle comes aboard. I think he has. I think that's confirmed by now that Ian Eagle is going to be another broadcaster. I think a lot of their talent is going to come from TNT, but I think they need to improve on the analysts. I think Reggie Miller also might be going to NBC. I never thought Reggie Miller was that good of an analyst.
He's the in-game analyst. He's not going to be in the studio.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they need to find. I thought JJ Redick was great, and now he's coaching. I think they need to find. I don't think there's a lot of good analysts in basketball right now. I think it's a lot of guys that do catchphrases. I think that Chris Webber added nothing. Honestly, the guy that I liked the most back in the day was Brent Barry. He used to play with the Spurs back in the day, and now he works in the Spurs front office. But he was the best at it. He's not the biggest name, obviously, but that doesn't matter sometimes. Like we all love Greg Olson. I think that, I think the NBA needs to be better with the people that cover the league. The NBA Today Show, whatever the hell it is on ESPN. Not a fan of it. I think it's just it doesn't really add insightful stuff to the game. I think JJ Redick even called it out years ago. So I think the NBA needs to be better about their in-game product. I think the play-by-play announcers are amazing. The analysts not so much. Right. But don't mess with a good thing. I think inside the NBA will be great on ABC. It's just you don't need to add the other characters. And as far as NBC, they'll try to make it as polished and reminiscent of the 90s as much as possible with Mike Tirico and I guess Michael Jordan doing pre-produced segments. But it'll probably be very different styles where I think inside the NBA will do what it's always done, where the NBA on NBC will celebrate the league and try to give you nostalgia feels from the 90s.
I agree. There's a baseline for how these shows go. And I think, the NBA on NBC's got time. I just, I'm skeptical of it. Whatever.
Yeah, me too.
I can't stay up past these games anyway.
Yeah, no, that's more than fair. And I think it's just an end of an era. Like I my whole life since this is before I was born, the Inside the NBA has been a show with Ernie Johnson since 1990, and they've had rotating analysts, but Ernie's always been that guy. And I think Kenny Smith came aboard in 1998. Charles Barkley came on in 2000. Shaq came on in 2011. And it's captivating. Have I watched every episode? No. Have I stayed up at a certain point to watch the whole thing? No. Some nights I'm like, I'm not that interested. Some nights I think it's boring. But it does give you fun banter that you probably would get on a sports talk radio show. So that's where I'm kind of like, this is like, I didn't love the crossbreed of that, but also you can't be helped to be entertained by that stuff.
Right.
It's kind of like to me, like the end of kind of like ESPN covering baseball, really. And Sunday Night Baseball is not the same. That's going away, reportedly. That might go to NBC as well. But like Sunday Night Baseball with Joe Morgan and John Miller, like that was must-see television. They were fantastic. Or Web gems. Shit, what was the name of the show that had web gems, Steven? On
Baseball Tonight.
Baseball Tonight. They don't do that. Like, it was just different with
Yeah.
John Kruk. Like, yeah, it's just an end of an era where TV's
Yep.
changing and ESPN is monopolizing everything. And they got the Pat McAfee show. They're going to have the Rich Eisen show. They're taking inside the NBA. And I don't know if I love that, but, you know, it is what it is. We're streaming more things now. So eventually it will all go away. But yeah, it's just weird now where we're not having the things we grew up with. Like I remember being in high school watching Inside the NBA or having a post-game show on in the background. It's just something I grew up with. So not to have that be there anymore, like it's going to be weird. And probably TNT will just go the way of like TBS or AMC. It's just one of those, you know, stations that have movies on and they'll have, the occasional sports, but people won't be, watching TNT as intently as they used to be without the NBA on there.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. The only thing, the only thing that really like even rivals this stuff, like I do think they keep it really good with their playoff coverage, but like honestly, I think baseball and football's playoff coverage is much better than basketball's. I don't know. I just haven't been really impressed by it. That's all.
No, same here. A little update on the Giants. What are they, like 4-0 right now?
Mm-hmm.
Little home run by Luis Matos.
Yeah, about time. See
I
if they
know.
could actually score more than 4 runs. That'd be wild.
Well, I mean, shit, you'll take more than 1 or 0
Yeah.
the last couple days. And
Yeah.
yeah, the Giants offense is putrid right now. And we'll see, just because they win today over the Marlins, we'll see what happens if they maintain that lead. The pitching's been amazing. But yeah, I think it's fair to say that Willie Adames has been a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
And everybody you talk to is like, well, he kind of gets hot in July. If you're going to give him a 7-year contract, you're not going to do anything with him. You're not going to, trade him or whatnot. But it is pretty alarming. But I think Buster Posey kind of said it best the other day. It's kind of like Juan Soto right now, where you go to a superstar, you go to a different team, and it doesn't pan out right away. It happens a lot, but it's the way he's hitting right now. What is he hitting? 187.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's really bad. And Patrick Bailey's been terrible too, but you're not going to do anything with him because he's the catcher. It sounds like when Gerard Encarnacion comes back, they're going to get rid of Lamont Wade Jr., and that's probably for the best. But I don't really know how this team gets better. And I think that's something that fans need to kind of brace for. This is just my opinion. I don't know if Buster's going to go crazy at the trade deadline. I think that he kind of came in the year with the mentality that I'm evaluating this roster. And what?
Has this been the talk on KMBR? Because you just like transitioned from Giants out of nowhere to just talking about the trade deadline. Is this like a big talking point right now?
This is my talking point.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, it's just like, what can you say more than just the pitching's awesome right now and the offense sucks? And there's really not a lot you could do to change it. There really isn't.
Yeah. They're a good team that's in the they're a good team. I really do believe that, but they're also just a good team that's playing in a national league with better teams. I don't really know what the answer is. I think the answer is just keep playing the way they're playing right now and just get the bats start to wake up because obviously they need it. But I think what this pitching is doing is I think it's going to be consistent, but I don't know about the offense. I don't know what they need to do. I don't know. It's baseball, 162 games.
Exactly. But that's the thing is that they're probably going to go with the flow. And that's basically what I'm saying is that if everyone's expecting like a huge Jimmy Butler-like trade for the Giants, what are they going to do? Seriously.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Exactly. I don't think they're really going to trade for anybody at this point. I think that most likely they would just kind of wait for Bryce Eldridge to develop and bring him up maybe a year from now. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be this big move. And I think that fans probably will get disappointed because I think Buster's is going to let it play out. I don't think like if you want to trade Kyle Harrison or an arm to get a bat, cool. But I don't think there's a big enough deal on the table for that right now. So I would tell fans, just be prepared. I don't think Buster's going to do anything. I think he's just going to let this play out, and then it might sacrifice the team where they're awesome pitching wise, but at the end of the year, we're like, damn, they didn't make the playoffs because they don't score enough runs.
Yeah, but you never know. There could be like a player that's up for trade, and Buster could try to go after him. You never know.
Yeah, that's the thing. We don't know because we have no idea how Buster's going to be as a front office guy.
Also a couple of months away from the trade deadline, so there's plenty of time.
There is, but I think that's the talk right now is just how bad the offense is that people are like, you got to make a move right now. Like, you're not going to make a move right now. But you also can't wait too late because the Padres and Dodgers will probably make the same moves that you would make.
Yeah, but Derek, it's not. You can't do that. You can't just wait. Come on, you got to make moves now. You got to fix this now. That's what
I
it's
know.
all about.
That's why baseball's so hard to talk about because there's so many games and there's so
Yeah.
many lulls sometimes in a season. And
Yeah.
I never thought the Giants were going to be a playoff team this year. I thought they were going to improve, but now I think we kind of know that the pitching's really strong, and that will be what they lean on going forward. But yeah, they may have to rework this whole lineup come next season.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyway, let's move on to some football in May. Is that what you prefer, Steven? Some football now?
I'm down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it. All right, let's do it. So 49ers make a little trade on Friday. Get Bryce Huff for a mid-round pick, and that probably would mean 5th-round pick, 6th-round pick. We'll see. It's June 1st also, so that's the date that most contracts have where you can change things with a salary cap. A player, if you eliminate them off your roster, it doesn't count as much towards the salary cap. So that's why this deal has not been finalized yet. It will be come tomorrow, I believe. But yeah, 49ers trade for a pass rusher and Bryce Huff. And he signed a 3-year deal, I think worth like $51 million, something like that, with the Eagles. Was an outside linebacker, pass rusher. I think Vic Fangio, even during training camp, said like, not seeing a lot from this guy. It was going to be an uphill battle. He had 2 sacks in the whole season. But he had 10 sacks with Robert Saleh with the Jets a few years ago. So there is potential there. And he's going to rework his contract. I think he's going to knock off the last 2 remaining years of his deal. So he'll be a free agent after this season. And the Niners are going to pick up the majority of the salary, but the Eagles are paying $9 million of it. So not that big of a deal. It's a guy that Robert Saleh knows. So honestly, I'd say it's not that big of a risk. It helps them. It also helps the maturation process of Michael Williams. You don't have to have that pressure of starting him right away. So I'd say no harm, no foul. I think it's a solid move for the 49ers.
I don't know.
All right.
Maybe it's a low risk, high reward move if you want to say that, but he could just be another Drake Jackson, or I don't know. That's probably a bad comparison. It could be just another Leonard Floyd, where it's like, okay, you got this guy who had 10 sacks one year, so we think he's going to get 10 sacks automatically because he's lined up with Chris Kasarik and Robert Saleh, potentially. But also, that was one year when the Jets had the best defense in football. And previous years, 2.5, 3 sacks at most. I also wonder, like, what happened with Michael Williams? How much did he play like interior lineman? Is that where he's going to move? Is he going to move to the interior and they're just not going to set him up on the edge anymore? Like, why'd you invest a 1st-round pick in an edge rusher if you're just going to go trade for one? I don't know. It just seems like a weird situation with that. I don't know what it is. But we kind of talked about it, how Michael Williams doesn't have that many pass rush moves. And clearly they don't believe in him as a pass rusher if Robert Saleh is saying, hey, we got to go get this guy who is up for grabs right now.
Well, we talked about it when he got drafted. I don't think he was going to have impact right away. He's a very raw talent.
Shoot.
So that's my thing is I didn't think he was going to, like, when people were saying like right away he's going to start, I was like, I don't know if he should. Like, seeing him play, like, I'm not an expert when it comes to, breaking down the tape, but even Larry Krueger was like, you don't see a lot of moves in his game.
Yeah.
So if he's just a one-trick pony, he's going to get, he's definitely going to get held at the line of scrimmage a ton. And not held, but like, basically he's going to get pancaked a shit ton. So I don't know. I think this just says that they needed some depth at pass rush. And I don't think it's really an indictment on Michael Williams. I think it's just he's a rookie. He's got a lot to learn. And I don't know if you can rely on him right away, but that doesn't mean he can't develop it to being a good pro.
Yeah. And we'll see if Bryce Huff is more of like I guess you could call him a system edge rusher. Is that what we call him, where you're a product of the system? And if this system really works for him, I guess it is low risk, high reward. I mean, I guess if you're trading a mid-round pick for him and you're paying what you're paying him, where the Eagles are paying more of his salary than you are, if you get, I don't know, 7 or 8 sacks where one of them is key, then I guess that investment is paid off. But
yeah,
it's just
bad.
It's just like just statistically, it just seemed like a boom or bust player. But, I maybe they could just get that out of him and they'd be okay with that considering what you had last year.
Yeah, I mean, he benefited a lot from the Jets pass rush and Quinn Williams right back next to him. So not a
Yeah.
lot of that talent on the defensive line, but playing opposite Nick Bosa, that may help him a little bit.
That's the only thing that bothers me, like about the discourse around edge rushers whenever they make a move like this. It's like he's going to turn into some all pro where he gets 15 sacks just because he's joining the 49ers. They don't need that from him.
No.
They just need him to be an effective edge rusher who could give them something opposite Nick Bosa. That's all they need. And a guy who can stay healthy.
Yeah, no, I think that if he gets 8 sacks this season, that's all you need. That's all you're asking of him. And I think that, he played in a scheme that he's not familiar with. He's playing more traditional of what he's used to in a 4-3 scheme in the base edge. And he knows Robert Saleh, and Robert Saleh will put him in situations that benefit his skill set. So, yeah, I think that it was a bad year for Bryce Huff. He was, he went from being a third down pass rush specialist to being the guy on the Eagles opposite Nolan Smith, and didn't do anything really. Got 2 sacks and was deactivated, not active for the game against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So I thought they eventually were going to move off from him. Just doesn't fit their scheme. So yeah, I think that I think he fits more of what the Niners are going to do. But yeah, to say like he's going to be this all-pro defensive end opposite Nick Bosa, no, he's just going to be a guy that helps out from time to time. And I don't even know if he's going to be here for the long haul. But yeah, it's good to have some depth, and it helps out Mykel Williams. You don't need him right away. I think Bryce Huff will be the starting defensive end opposite Bosa. You might even see Yatir Gross-Matos over Bryce Huff. But now you can change things up. You can rotate guys. So I don't think that's that bad of a move.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, but let's talk some we haven't talked Raiders in a while. Let's talk some Raiders as they head to Well, I wanted to kind of react to what they're talking about at OTAs. So here's Jacoby Myers, who's going in as the number 1 wide receiver for the Raiders once again. And here's what he had to say about having that role for, I guess, the 3rd year in a row.
It's your first season with the Raiders where you're entering as the top wideout, coming up 1,000-yard season, 0 drops. What's the mentality of just building on that, improving yourself as a true alpha wide receiver 1?
Same shit, different day, bro. I've been, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been doing this since I got in the league, bro. Like, don't nothing change. I'm really just trying to make plays and go about my business.
Jacoby, you've always been known as kind of like an underrated player who just gets the job done. And Gino has been the same way. He's been through a lot of adversity in his own career. How do you guys maybe relate as teammates?
I think it's the same mentality, honestly. Like, he got a family that he's trying to feed, and he's trying to more so prove to himself that he got what it takes to be out here. And it's the same with me. Like, I'm trying to feed my family and also go out here and show that I could be a dominant football player and do the things it takes to help the team win.
So same shit, different day. I don't know if I love that just because I don't want it to be the same shit, different day. I want it to be a different season for the Raiders. I don't want it to be the same old thing. And I know that's not what he's saying, but I don't know if I can really feel comfortable with the Raiders offense if it's going to be Jacoby Myers as the wide receiver 1. Like, here's Geno Smith talking at OTAs, talking about the weapons that the team has right now and his confidence level in them.
Connecting with Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker. Like, what do you think of your new weapons here in Las Vegas?
Man, I'm loving it, man. They're making my job tremendously easy to be out here with these young, talented players, man. I think we have a really good team, a really good, array of weapons, and just a bunch of different guys that can do a lot of great things. And so, obviously Brock is who he is. Getting to know Trey, getting to know Jacoby, and watching Michael go out there and make plays. Ashton's coming along. The offensive line's doing a great job. I think Chip is, calling great plays, and it's really easy for me. I just got to go out there and be myself and get the ball into their hands and let them be special.
All right, so usual, quarterback talk, but he's very, he's talking glowingly about the skill set players. And there's guys on this team that will help put up points. I do like Brock Bowers a lot. You can make the argument he's right up there with George Kittle and Travis Kelce and Trey McBride as the best tight end in football. Ashton Genty, we have a lot of expectations with him. But to rely on Jacoby Myers has been a solid receiver for quite some time. But Trey Tucker's never been consistent. He's flashed here or there for big plays. But to act like these guys are going to be, just so lethal where their offense is going to be one of the best in football. I don't see that right now. And I know they drafted also Jack Besh from TCU. So they have guys, and I don't know what to expect out of him. He's a rookie, second-round rookie. But I do think they need somebody else. I do think they need to add a wide receiver at training camp or at some point. I see the offense right now, and it's very predicated on the run. And that's fine. That's kind of what we expected. And, you want it to be an effective run game with Genty. They can do play action fakes with Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. But I think they need a wide receiver one right now. I don't see one at the team. I know that Jacoby Myers is fine having that role, but I never saw Jacoby Myers as a number one. I think he's a number two for a really good team. He should not be your number one wide receiver.
No, maybe not, but I think Jack Besh is slowly going to become a number one, just based on everything that I've read. And I think Dante Thornton was a steal in the 4th round. At least that's just according to the experts and all that. It's way too early to tell.
Yeah.
And Jacoby Myers is saying same shit, different day. That's because of the way the question was framed. It's like, hey, how do you feel about how people don't respect you enough or whatever? It's just, that's a weird question to answer. And you said Jacoby Myers has been good for quite some time now. Not quite some time, like maybe his 2 years with the Raiders, but when he was with the Patriots, he wasn't really that good, 1st round pick and
solid for quite some time, I'd say.
He was decent. Decent, but I think Jacoby Myers was trying to win back a lot of people. Obviously not in a good situation in New England after his 2nd year there, but it's way too soon to tell like whether they need to already add a piece. I don't really agree with you. Like I think they need to stay the course right now because they have one of the best tight ends in football. Again, I think Jack Besh and Dante Thornton are going to surprise some people. I know Trey Tucker probably hasn't been as consistent as you want, but they also got this guy, Tommy Mellett. I think there's a reason that they've built this offense the way they have. And I think Chip is that confident and that cocky that he feels like he's got a good enough offense to work with those types of weapons. So I don't know what adding a receiver is going to do. Like, what do you mean add a receiver by training camp? You think that receiver is going to be like a number one receiver, or you want to add a receiver for depth?
I guess no one at this point is going to be a wide receiver one. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing back Amari and seeing what you have in him. I wouldn't be opposed to Keenan Allen, but I don't know if those guys want to join a team that's kind of in question right now with the Raiders. Sorry, Steven, what'd you say?
No, I would not be opposed to Amari Cooper at all.
Exactly. Like that's all I'm saying. Like, and also same thing with the Niners right now. Like, we don't know when Brandon Ayuk's coming back. He'll probably start the season on PUP, and at the same time, Demarcus Robinson is the fill-in guy, and he's most likely going to be suspended for the first 3 weeks of the season because of a DUI arrest. So you don't want to wait too long, but it seems like the whole league is waiting on those guys and see what they have in their teams, and then if they need to bolster the receiving core, they'll go out and get veterans like that. But yeah, I guess that's been always the thing with Pete Carroll. He never really had big name wide receivers. They became big names over time, but they would draft guys like Tyler Lockett or Jermaine Kearse, Doug Baldwin, guys that they got in the draft and they developed over time. So maybe it's not going to be where you have a, traditional huge wide receiver that, you get in free agency or through trade.
Right.
But I don't know. Like, I still feel like, I don't know. I just, if I feel different about this team, I can't say I feel confidently in the receiving core right now, with Jacoby Myers being the number one guy. But yeah, like you said, it's just too early to tell. It's OTA. So
yeah. I get where your concern is, but they're not going to be a 4-win team. I mean, I don't know. I have a very low bar for the Raiders right now, like an extremely low bar. It's like a gymnast bar where they just barely got to, where they barely even got to jump. Marcus Zamora, are you fellas in California?
Yes,
Correct?
we are.
Yes, we are. I wouldn't be opposed to them adding like a Gabe Davis, although I think he's just going to be long gone, or even bringing back Nelson Aguilar, like who kind of revived his career with the Raiders. But I think it's too soon to tell, and I don't know with the amount they kind of invested into that position, where it's like the talent groups in the position. Like what why am I blanking on what you call those positions? the wide receiver, the running back, blah blah blah. Why am I blanking on
Skill
that?
set,
Whatever.
skill position, guys.
Skill position. Thank you. Good Lord. I don't think like if they invested a lot into skill position guys, which they did, they invested heavily through the draft. That could be a bad sign if they're already adding like someone to potentially take over. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same deal with the Niners, acquiring Bryce Huff. It's just because you get a veteran in that position, even though you drafted that position, doesn't necessarily mean that, it's going to be bad. It's just you want to have some veteran presence there.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying there.
I
Like you have a lot of younger guys, and I just want Geno Smith. Does he have a better receiving core than he had with the Seattle Seahawks? Probably not.
Yeah.
He's got Brock Bowers, and a couple of solid receivers, but not the best in football. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And the 49ers point is interesting because like, I don't know, I was doing weekend reports, right? And just filing some to run like probably right now. And there's one where it's like, okay, Pearsall's hurt. You got Ayuk, who's already got the torn MCL and the ACL. Like, you're truly going to need Jawan Jennings to be wide receiver 1. And I think it's going to and there's people saying he's already bigger and stronger at OTAs and is looking spry, blah, blah, blah. But you don't have a lot of depth at wide receiver. I think both the 49ers or Raiders could benefit from making some move. Like, I think Pearsall's going to be a good receiver. Ayuk, you don't know when he's going to come back and if he's going to be the same coming off that injury. Jawan Jennings has been doing this for a while now, and there's no reason to doubt him. But there's definitely other than that, I don't know Leonard Watkins, who they took in the draft, I believe this is his name, or Jordan Watkins. And then you also had Jacob Cowing too. And you don't really know what you have with him. Yeah,
right.
It's fascinating stuff. Also, I like this. This Marcos guy. It's just bringing in good vibes. Like, this is different than when we get. This is different than when we get new listeners. He's just like, hey, I'm from SLO County. SLO is beautiful. Sure is. Like, I love it.
Yeah. I like this guy.
We need more Marcoses to get into the chat.
We do.
Here,
you know what? I'm already putting it on the table. Leader in the clubhouse for Opiner of the Year, Marcos Zamora.
There we go.
He's not coming in complaining that we're talking about football or the chat doesn't like what we're talking about. He's coming in and be like, all right, like being here, guys.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Yeah, what's going on? You guys from California, just getting to know the chat, not demanding things already. AJ Cruz. Jesus. Going back in the chat here though, Rockin' New Era asks, what's Derek's prediction for the Raiders record or the Raiders making the playoffs? Can't say that right now. Don't know. It's very early, but if they did make the playoffs, they'd be like a 7 seed. I'm not gonna say they're gonna be juggernauts this year, but I do think it's going to be an improved Raider football team, mainly because of Pete Carroll. And just listening to him in the press conferences, man, just a different demeanor, just a guy that knows what he's doing. And he's having fun with the media too. I didn't even realize this. Do you know there's like a whole thing with Raiders fans about Chip Kelly saying he's going to change Ashton Genty's stance?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't feel any way about that. I feel like Ashton Genty was a very effective runner in college, and he stood up primarily, kind of had like an Eric Dickerson kind of like stance. But Chip Kelly's been around the block, and if he can improve on that stance, then by all means. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but if you see that he's not an effective runner that's changing things, then maybe you just don't mess with a good thing.
It's a weird problem to have when you are having an issue with a coach trying to, I don't know, coach.
Yeah.
Like what? He doesn't think the stand-up stance is going to be good in the NFL, but also like Kelly pushed back on that, and I don't know, maybe if Genty there was a little miscommunication there. From that standpoint, it doesn't feel good. Like if he's already not understanding what Chip Kelly's trying to convey here, and you're going on podcasts saying that this is what he's trying to teach me,
right.
And Chip Kelly's like, no, it didn't happen. Then yeah, maybe there's that. But like, it's funny that we're trying to get on a coach for attempting to coach. It's like, don't mess up a good thing. Well, how do you know it's going to be a good thing in the NFL, because there's one who's experienced who doesn't think it's going to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think it was funny. Chip Kelly was getting pestered with questions about this. And he was like, guys, we're talking about a matter of 3 inches. It's not that big of a deal. And I was like,
Yeah,
well, sometimes 3 inches could be that big of a deal.
huge deal.
Huge deal. By the way, I like people in the chat here. Marcos is telling like kind of like who he is. And he's like, I'm kind of simple guy, you know, God, Raiders, and food. I'm simple. And then AJ Cruz, we were just like you, Marcos, and Derek made us this way. What have I done? By all means, what have I done? It's the same old show it's always been. But to your point about coaching with the Raiders, I was watching, I don't know if this is a new interview, but I saw it on one of the dumb aggregator sites, probably Dove Kleinman, where Antonio Pierce was talking about how he got the job with the Raiders and how miserable the team was with Josh McDaniels and just him not really reading the room, basically. Like he was telling Antonio Pierce, like, we need to have a team meeting. I need to call up the guys. And Antonio Pierce was like, you don't need to do that because they hate you right now. And the way Antonio Pierce got the job was basically just taking over that meeting and calling out everybody else in the room, including himself, including the coaches. And that's how he kind of garnered respect from everybody in the room. But he got respect as like a former player leader. It wasn't like he knew X's and O's, and we all knew this, but like it just sounds like he captivated the room one time, and then everybody got behind him because he screamed Raiders after a win in the locker room and they smoked stogies. Besides that, it was just so much that they hated Josh McDaniels that they wanted a breath of fresh air in Antonio Pierce. But the truth is, he's just not really a coach leader. He's a former player. Same thing like Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis couldn't coach today, but he can definitely command a room. And I don't think that's going to be effective when you're going up against Andy Reid, Sean Payton, and Jim Harbaugh. So now they got a guy. Just listening to Pete Carroll talk, like, yeah, he commands a room. He's a good leader of men, but also he knows how the game of football is played. He's been coaching, God, for years now. Yeah. And I don't know if this is going to be that big of a deal, but I listened to Rich Eisen talk glowingly about Pete Carroll because Pete, just a couple of weeks ago, was still teaching, was still a teacher at USC. And Rich was talking about just experiencing the last day in class where he was talking with his students. And we're talking about early 20s, like kids that cannot relate to Pete Carroll as far as just how long he's been on the earth. But Pete could relate to them. He just has empathy. And I guess everybody in the room was crying just how like Pete was saying goodbye to everybody and how much they loved him as a teacher. So I think Pete has that capabilities of being a leader as far as a football coach. I think that even though a lot of the players are much younger than him, you're already seeing like Max Crosby be in a better mood. It's on a long-term contract. I think it's going to be different.
He's been there before. Antonio Pierce coached high school.
Exactly. Basically, I think just Pete Carroll is going to be a guy that the Raiders players can get behind. And they haven't had that in quite some time. Yeah. You could say what you want about Gruden. I think he's the last guy to do that. But it's different with like positivity and just experiences in life and going to hold people accountable. It's kind of like what Tom was talking to us about the change in the NBA, where they want more yes men. They want it to be where the owners and the GMs dictate how the team is run, and coaches go along with that. It's kind of the same deal in the NFL right now, where a lot of teams didn't want to hire Bill Belichick or Mike Vrabel because they're the old school way of doing things. They call out players. They will demean them publicly. But that's kind of how you kind of get your point across sometimes, where Pete is kind of a good in between, where he's not going to call out players. He's not going to be mean. He's not going to be demonstrative, but he's old school, where the players will get behind him and he leads and he's honest, but he's not also going to be an asshole in the process. So, yeah, no, I'm very positive on Pete Carroll. You want to know what happens with the receiving core, but yeah, I think this team is going to be different because Pete is just something the Raiders haven't had in quite some time.
For sure. And he's born to be a coach. That's what he's all about.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it.
As am I. Speaking of June 1st, this has been kind of the last big dominoes to fall in the NFL offseason, along with waiting for he who shall not be named, the ayahuasca guy that supposedly is going to be signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Yeah, today's June 1st, and Jalen Ramsey's been alluding to his departure from the Miami Dolphins for quite some time. He's been tweeting about it, and today his cap hit gets lowered about $10 million if he is traded away, and that's the anticipation is that in the next couple of days here, Jalen Ramsey will be traded to a new team. A lot of people think it's the Rams, and I can't remember the last time where a team traded a guy to a different team, and then that team traded him back. So that'll be interesting if he goes to the Los Angeles Rams. But yeah, I do think the Raiders should be in on Jalen Ramsey if they want to trade their culture, if they want to have more presence with the secondary like leadership and veterans, because that's another position group that I think is kind of lacking veterans at the moment.
I agree. Bring them in. Like, what can it hurt? Like, I don't know if I believe in Jeremy Chid and Ja'Cory and Bennett on opposite sides. Like, I don't know. You're talking about they need to add some at the wide receiver room. They need to add something in the secondary, because that is the biggest question mark to me. I'm totally okay with their defensive line if their linebacking core is going to be led by Devin White. I think there's some question marks around that. So we have to wait to see that. But I think it's the secondary where they need the most help. And Jalen Ramsey can only do that. Bring in an all-pro. Why not?
I'm with you on that. And I saw a clip the other day. This is way back in the day, but after he was traded to the Rams, he talked about how he really wanted to go to the Raiders. He was begging to go to the Raiders. So maybe he still feels that way, or maybe he's just ring chasing at this point, even though he already has one. We'll see what happens in the next couple of days here. It sounds like teams aren't really desperate to trade for him right now, but we'll see if the Dolphins are willing to accommodate most teams by taking on that salary. So, we'll see what happens with Jalen Ramsey, but I think it would be very beneficial for the Raiders to look at him as a potential acquisition this offseason.
100%.
All right. Do a little jackass of the week.
Yeah, I got one.
All right. You go first, Steven.
Well, I'm a big Anthony Bourdain fan.
Okay.
And I don't know who this person is. She's part of the Free Press and used to be with the New York Post. I don't know who this is, but you say something about Anthony Bourdain, I'm not going to like you, and you're going to get jackass of the week. Listen to this.
How a generation of men eat.
Hang on. All right, here we go.
Anthony Bourdain broke how a generation of men eat. The cult of personality he left in his wake is frankly insufferable. A lot of what we're seeing in food culture, chef culture today has its roots in the type of eating and journalism Anthony Bourdain did. Bourdain treated ordering soup like a search and rescue mission, and now every man thinks they have to spelunk into some cave in order to get a bowl of pho, and unless they do, they're not really having dinner. Everyone just needs to calm down, take a step back, enjoy the slice of pizza or burger you're eating. It's not that deep.
Yeah, come on. Like, what are you talking about? Like, all Anthony Bourdain did was teach people to come together through the nature of food. Like, it brings people together, respect people. Like, that's all Anthony Bourdain did. He didn't cultivate some culture where guys become food snobs. Like, it's not like Joe Rogan, where it's like you've created this culture of manly men who just seem to have terrible opinions all the time. Like, I think Anthony Bourdain did nothing but good for the world instead of whatever she just mentioned, where it's like, I mean, sure, there's some guys who are like, ooh, Bourdain did that, I got to go do that. But no one's going to the depths of some random cave so they can get a bowl of pho. Like, all he told you was enjoy the slice of pizza, enjoy a cheeseburger. I don't know. It's clear that she just has not watched him at all, and it got a rise out of me, and maybe that was the job of what she wanted to do.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Steven. Didn't Anthony Bourdain say in an interview, I think I saw this years ago, where he said his favorite meal of all time is just In-N-Out?
Yeah. So you get my jackass of the week if you do that. And I saw that last week, and I was seething.
Well, she's not wrong in the sense of, like, that's created a lot of, not him personally, but like foodie culture. That's been a thing for quite some time. It definitely goes beyond Anthony Bourdain. Yeah. And I also don't like the way she's phrasing it in a sense of like Anthony Bourdain made men like this. Not the case. A lot of men just simply just want a slice of pizza. And to act like it was just men, women, they have those shows like that too. I don't think it's just she's making it out to be like a toxic masculinity thing, which I think not the case whatsoever. No, this is just travel shows. This is just food culture. Do I think it's kind of a little pompous at times? Absolutely. Do I think the movie, the menu is 100% accurate? Absolutely. I think sometimes we just get too crazy with these food shows. But do I think Anthony Bourdain caused that? No, not at all. I have no idea what the hell she's talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. No clue. No clue.
All right. Yeah, she definitely deserves Jackass of the Week. And so does John Cougar Mellencamp. I'm sorry. But this whole thing. So I brought it up earlier, but Pat McAfee at the Pacers game. And look, I'm not like a huge McAfee guy. I'll watch the interviews, but if it's just him palling around with his bros, that's not my cup of tea. But he had a good time at the Pacers game, and he got the mic and called out the New York fans, and had fun with Ben Stiller and Spike Lee and Timothy Chalamet, and just saying, let's send those sons of bitches back to New York with their ears ringing. And I guess John Cougar Mellencamp took exception to this as being a guy from Indiana, being a big Pacers fan. And he sent out this tweet that's incredibly hard to read, given the white font over a picture of himself and I believe his wife. The Knicks-Pacers game has been very entertaining for anybody who likes basketball or sports. I attended Game 4 in Indianapolis. Hoosiers hospitality. I was embarrassed when somebody, under whose direction I don't know, called out some of the people who had made the trip from New York to support their team and in turn support our team. The audience booed these people. I'd say that was not Hoosier hospitality. One could say it's poor sportsmanship. I was not proud to be a Hoosier, and I've lived here my entire life. On behalf of most Hoosiers, I'd like to apologize for our poor behavior. I'm sure the Pacers had nothing to do with this smackdown. John Cougar Mellencamp. It's not that deep. As the woman just said in her video, John Cougs, it's not that deep. Like, I love a good Hurt So Good or Jack and Diane song, but please stay in your lane, man. This is just sports sometimes. It's not poor sportsmanship. It's just good, fun rivalries between the Pacers and Knicks that have been going on for quite some time. Do you think it's poor sportsmanship when Reggie Miller did the choke side or Tyrese Halliburton did that? So I think Cougs is crazy here.
Yeah, it's a little much. It's a little much. Calm down.
Yep. That's all I got to say about that.
That's all I got, man.
All right.
I got to get going, man. It's been an hour 42.
Okay.
They're cleaning the garage without me.
Okay, sorry, man. Okay, just real quick, pop culture catch up. You watching anything?
I watched Mission Impossible.
Yeah, you liked it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to watch that today. I'll see the final reckoning today, and we'll do our review of it next time on Pop Culture Catch Up. All right, Steven. Thanks to everybody in the chat today. Hey, you say you got to go? You got to clean the garage? By all means, if that's how you spend your birthday weekend.
Yeah.
Let's get going. All right. To everybody in the chat, to Marcos Zamora, the nicest guy in the chat now. Thank you, and welcome aboard. To AJ Cruz, the meanest guy in the chat. To Tacky, eat shit and go get drunk somewhere. To Rock a New Era, to Ernie One, thanks as always, guys. We love you no matter what I say. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Steven, say what you always say.
It's just our opinion, man.